Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. So the big question right now in the Steely Dan community, I guess one of the big questions, the Can't Buy a Thrill UHQR from Analog Productions, is it worth $150? So I actually got it. I pre-ordered it the day it was announced. So I have it right here. It came about a week ago, or Monday. I've been kind of busy, so I haven't had too much time to listen to it, but I did get a chance the other day, so I'll talk about that in a sec. But in terms of the unboxing, first thing, nice little thing signed here by Chad, certificate, some pictures in the back. They've got some technical specs here that are great to read. Kind of talking about the UHQR here. That was probably my second favorite thing to read in this pack, aside from this, the Donald Fagen liner notes that we have here, which are new. Some pictures of the master tapes. I'm sure a bunch of other YouTubers have already done unboxings, but I probably shouldn't tell you that because then you just go watch them instead. So this is the nice gatefold, super glossy. If you got the reunion albums from Analog Productions, Two Against Nature, Everything Must Go, you'll also realize that they're very glossy. That's how they do it. And of course, a little catalog of upcoming stuff and stuff they already have, which is great. And the main goods, 200 gram, 45 RPM clarity vinyl, 4 sides. I'm not going to take them out right now, but yes. So packaging is great, wonderful. Definitely adds a lot to this collection. So there's kind of some context that I want to go over. If you don't want to hear it, you can skip to this part in the video. Hopefully you do listen to it, though. I think it is important to kind of put everything in perspective. So I've been around music all my life. My dad taught me piano when I was very young. He got a Bachelor of Arts from University of Chicago, a Bachelor of Arts in Music. So he taught me when I was very young, and I didn't like it at the time too much, so I moved to violin, and I really hated that. So in 5th grade, right before I went to middle school, I was introduced to cello. I mean, I knew about it, but I saw someone playing it at some kind of middle school orientation, and it was just kind of blew me away. So I've been playing cello since 5th grade. I played all throughout middle school and high school. I played in orchestras, private orchestra in middle school and high school, and then in high school actually played in an orchestra at the high school. So because I had so much formal training with that, and I was in choir, I was very musical childhood, I thought, well, this makes sense as a career path. I want to teach music kind of at the collegiate level. So the plan was to get my undergrad, my master's, and my doctorate. And I didn't know at the time, but I found out pretty quick. They wanted you to get a performance major, because you get a performance major, it's like the highest major for, undergrad on your instrument or vocalist or whatever. And that's going to kind of help you down the line. And so I went for that at Stetson University. It's a small private college here in Florida. Around middle of freshman year, I noticed that there was a film festival on campus, and film was kind of like a rival hobby that I had when I was growing up. Filmmaking and acting. I picked that up when I was young, also kind of in middle school. I never had any formal training with it. I never took acting lessons or filmmaking lessons or whatever. But, I acted in high school and whatnot. I really did have fun with it. And I didn't know at the time, but this festival, which was called Campus Movie Fest, apparently is the biggest college film festival in the world. They were at school at Stetson, and I was like, oh, it's just fun, whatever. So I had a little group of my friends and my film crew, made a 5-minute short, and we were one of the 4 winners that got to go to LA. And so that was like, okay, it's pretty cool. I competed in it sophomore and junior year, and we got to go to Atlanta both those years. So I hate that. I hate that it took awards to sway me, one way versus the other. But it kind of showed me that, film is something that I always kind of had a different connection with acting and filmmaking, especially when I did acting on stage, than I did with music. And that isn't to say I don't like music. I mean, like I said, I've done it all my life, but in comparison, I don't know how to describe it. It was just something different. And I guess that was kind of like a wake-up call that, maybe this is what I want to do. So there was no film or acting major at Stetson. And there's a stage acting, but I wanted to do specifically film acting and filmmaking. So more filmmaking. But so I didn't want to drop out or transfer anywhere. I was kind of halfway through school at this point. So I changed my major from performance to Bachelor of Arts in Music. I just wanted to finish, say I got my degree, and from that point on, I can go pursue acting or film in another institution, which is funny because Bachelor of Arts in Music is exactly what my dad got. So I graduated in 2018, and have since then been doing shorts and, going to festivals and whatnot. And I'm working on my first feature film right now. We had a reading for it and everything. If you go back far enough in this channel, you'll see I have skits and videos or whatever. And I also have another channel, Alabaster Effect Productions, which I talk about sometimes in the description. Go check it out. Some funny stuff, serious stuff, some weird stuff. Anyway, the whole reason I'm saying that is because, when I was in school and I was studying music with the path that the idea that I would do this for a living, I was completely engulfed in that world, practicing 4 hours a day. That was a minimum they wanted for performance majors, and that doesn't even count orchestral music. That's only solo music. So I was practicing 4 hours, on a good day, in orchestra, in choir, music theory classes, ear training classes where they would play, different kind of rhythms and different chord progressions, and you have to write it out like, well, what is this? What is that? And so I was just completely immersed in the musical world, constantly being taught, well, how to listen to music, what do you look for in this, and how do you compare this and this? And, and I still practice a lot of that because I do teach. I mean, I've been doing private lessons with students even in high school. And I did some at Stetson at a community school, not as a professor. And then I do some now. And I have wedding gigs and whatnot. So I'm still, constantly doing music, but it's not to the level that I was when I was in school. I mean, it's like a hobby that you pick up, you really work on it for a while, you're woodshedding and just getting really good at something. And then for whatever reason, you're busy or whatever, you drop it, it's not the same. You know what I mean? But the reason I bring all that up, getting back to this UHQR, is that, I hadn't had a really authentic, really engaging listening experience since I was in school, 2018 and before, until I had this UHQR. And that kind of goes with something I briefly mentioned in the last video where I reviewed my 74 pressing of Can't Buy a Thrill to the new 33 RPM that was released by Universal Music, the $30 re-release of Can't Buy a Thrill. I mentioned quickly, I think we get lazy when we listen to music. Oh, that's for another time. Well, the time is now. I was thinking about that a lot because, it's true. Like, obviously I have a very specific situation because I was in the musical world and I was taught how to listen to music in a certain way and what to look for in certain things. And it's very academic, but overall it does help you enjoy music, much more, and I do think that it definitely has helped me build a bond with music in general and making music and playing that I wouldn't have had if I wasn't in that kind of, setting. But, if you don't really practice it, and I think a lot of people, when they're just going about their day to day, you're listening to music at the gym, in your car, even if you're listening to it at home, maybe you're doing something else on the phone or you're like on the internet, you don't really have the same kind of experience with music compared to if you're just sitting there and focusing, which is what I got in school. And it wasn't like I lost that ability, but I kind of shelved it. And of course, another thing is I've been a big fan of Steely Dan for a long time. This is another bias I have. Obviously, I'm a huge fan. They're my favorite band in the world. And I'm also a completist. I like getting the essays, the CDs. I like getting vinyl. I like collecting the bootlegs and shirts and all that stuff. But funny enough, I haven't actually been into vinyl itself. I've been into Steely Dan for a while. It wasn't until like 2016 or 2017 where I got really serious. But I haven't been into vinyl, collecting vinyl and listening to them. Probably, I just started doing that maybe over a year and a half ago, which is probably really apparent in the last video because some people put some good kind of pointers in the comments, some vinyl 101 things, that I should be looking out for. And I can laugh about it. I mean, I'm not offended. Like, if I don't know something, please do tell me. I know I don't have to tell the internet twice. But, of course, if I'm putting videos out for you guys, and I should kind of be on top of my shit. But, all that being said, it's like, I got into vinyl fairly recently. And, but even then it's like, the best way I can describe it, since I've digressed long enough, the best way I can describe this UHQR, aside from the fact that like I had a new kind of musical experience with it. When people say, I wish I could watch my favorite film again for the first time. I wish I could experience my favorite song for the first time. That's how it felt with this UHQR. Because imagine all the knowledge you have about something, all the admiration, respect, whatever you have for this one thing, yet you can listen to it and still learn new things. I mean, I've seen people online who have known this since 72, since it came out. They've been fans. And they are saying that they're still hearing new things. I mean, that's huge. And when I first heard that, I was like, well, I'm sure it's good. I didn't know. Like, I did the comparison, the 33 RPM to the Can't Buy a Thrill that I had from 74. And I thought, oh, it's clear. I can hear this. It's good. It's good. But it isn't like I put this on and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's clear. It was about... No. It doesn't punch you with sound. It's not like you turn it on and it's just this wash of sound. It's so clear. So it's clear, but it's like the parts... The instruments are just spaced apart just enough to where you can really hear every single line. And it's like, but nothing detracts from the overall. It's not like I'm hearing one part and it takes me out of the experience. It's like, it doesn't take away from the uniformity of the performance, if that makes sense. It's still cohesive, but it's these little subtle changes that just pop out. And for the longest time I was thinking of how to describe this. And it's like if you take a portrait, a really good picture that's already really good, and then you want to edit it. You're not going to go crazy with saturation. You're not going to, unless you're trying to make some, crazy kind of like magazine cover or whatever. You're going to make little minute changes, just very little things to complement an already really good work. I mean, that's how I feel. It was already recorded so well. And yet, and they knew that, and yet somehow they got more out of it. That for me, when I pre-ordered it, I was like, oh, I have to have it. I'm sure it's going to sound great, but I'd love to have it. I had no fucking idea. I had no clue. And to me, if you're going to say, well, is it worth $150? I guess my question would be, how much do you want to enjoy the album? I'm not being cheeky. I'm not trying to, it's a serious, how much do you want to enjoy the album? Because to me, even if you didn't like Steely Dan, if I turned it on and you heard it and you could compare it to a version you had before, you would automatically know the difference. I mean, yes, going to school, being immersed in that environment, learning how to listen to music really well, it helps. It helps you appreciate it, and it helps a lot with certain things. But that doesn't mean that the average music enjoyer is not going to know how to hear it. No, you would hear the difference. Having other knowledge of musical, listening skills or whatever you want to call it will help you enjoy it more. But anyone, I think, could be able to tell the difference. But that's the thing. It's like, again, how much do you want to enjoy? If you're a nonchalant kind of like, you like vinyl, 30, and this isn't to put down the 33 RPM, the re-release, the $30 one. It's good. That's great. This is just the UHQR is something else. I mean, that's, but the thing is, look, I wasn't alive when albums were $5, $6. I can't imagine how someone would feel, going from that was the cost at one time. Now the default is like what, 15, 20 bucks, 20, 25, 30 bucks. And then they want to charge $150 in this freaking economy. Like, I understand. I completely get why people are upset. How much of that is really like the craftsmanship versus, who's getting paid, and what's the breakdown of the materials, the cost of getting all the tapes, how much of that money is going to Chad, how much is going to Donald Fagen, and then how much of it is just good business. I don't know the breakdown of that. So I could see how that would be a turnoff. I could see how people would just be like, no. And then, of course, you'd be disgusted. Like, why would they charge that much? And I've seen YouTubers talk about this, pointing out, if you're going to pay $150, what's your limit? You're going to do 200? You're going to do 250, 300? I mean, it's a good question. And, of course, the other good question, too, that I thought about recently was, Can't Buy Thrill was the earliest album. 𝐒𝐭𝐞𝐞𝐥𝐲 and 𝐒𝐴SIA, they sound so good. Are they really going to get much better? As you go along, how much can they milk out of that sound? You know what I mean? And so it's like, is that even worth the same price down the line? If it seems like, well, they're not really going to have to be doing as big of a job. I don't know. That's speculation. Again, I can play devil's advocate with this stuff all day long, going back and forth. Take with this information, do with it what you want. I feel like, for me, as a really big fan of Steely Dan, if I can experience the albums like this over and over again, and me being a completionist that likes all their stuff, why would I go back to my original? Why would I listen to the $30 one? I might as well sell them. I'm serious. So from that perspective, it's like, is it worth it? To me, yes. If you don't want to get them all, which I completely understand, get your favorite one. I mean, I'm sure 𝐒𝐴SIA and 𝐒𝐿 are going to sell out first, considering that they seem to be the most popular and more among the general public. People who maybe aren't huge Steely Dan fans might like them the most as well. I could be wrong. That's what I've noticed. Get one of those, whatever you want to do. And I'm sure the SA CDs that come out soon, whenever they're announced, are going to be great too. But it's like, again, back to the question, how much did you want to enjoy it? Because I haven't heard all the pressings of Can't Buy Thrill. I haven't heard the Probe or, the MCA 1980 or whatever. I haven't heard the original or the white label promo, but I would be pretty surprised if those sound better. I doubt it. I doubt it. So the best sounding version of Can't Buy a Thrill, and I assume all of them will be the best sounding versions of all the other original 7 albums. What else can you say? You know, so yeah, I know this video was longer than I wanted it to be. Hopefully you got something out of that. I know I digress. I go on these freaking tangent, you know, whatever. This is all one take. I'm trying to be completely honest with it. You know, it gave me a listening experience that I haven't had in a long time. And I just, that was a surprise. And, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say you can't put a price on that because, but you know, it's, again, I don't know what to say. That was just my experience. So, hopefully you got something from this. Hopefully you, I don't know, maybe it helped, didn't help if you were thinking about buying it. You know, I have no doubt that if you buy it, you'll definitely enjoy it. So yeah, I think it's worth it. But again, definitely would be more worth it if you are an audiophile. Obviously, like, you know, vinyl, it's a luxury, right? I mean, this is if there's one item that is going to scream vinyl as a luxury, it's going to be this. I mean, it's expensive. I know it is. But you know, I don't know. That is what it is. So I'm not going to keep going in circles. That's all I got. So hopefully you like this video. If you do like it, subscribe. I'll post new stuff. And let me know in the comments if you're going to get it or not. Because I'd like to know. I really don't. It seems like the whole community is kind of divided on it. So, all right. Well, take care. I'll see you in the next one.